Chicago, 1893. A city rises on the shore of Lake Michigan that looks more like a dream than a fairground. White palaces, grand domes, a waterfront lined with classical buildings so perfect, so symmetrical, that people later called it the White City. And then, almost as quickly as it appeared, it was gone, burned, demolished, dismantled, and in many cases, erased from memory. What was really built here? And why did so much of it disappear? The official story says the World's Columbian Exposition was a temporary exhibition, a celebration of Columbus, industry, art, and American progress. Tens of millions of visitors came to see the future. The fair was meant to impress. It was meant to be temporary. And when it was over, the structures were dismantled. Simple enough. But the scale of what was built raises a bigger question. Why would a city construct so much classical architecture, canals, sculpture, and monumental infrastructure, just to tear it all down a few months later? Look at the photographs. The buildings were not rough wooden sheds. They were giant neoclassical palaces, colonnades, towers, domes, arcades, water features designed with the precision of an imperial capital. Some called it a miracle of planning. Others called it proof of what America could do in record time. But the visual language of the fair feels older than 1893. It feels like a city from another age. A city of stone, symmetry, and monumental order. Even the lighting in old photographs gives the place a strange atmosphere. Soft, pale, almost dreamlike. As if the White City belonged to history before it belonged to Chicago. The fair is often praised for its speed. A giant city of palaces supposedly rose in under 3 years. Architects, laborers, and engineers worked at a pace that still amazes historians today. And yet that speed is exactly what makes the story so strange. Where did the materials come from? How did they complete such a vast project so quickly? And why did the finished city look less like a temporary exhibition, and more like a fully realized civilization? Some buildings were made of plaster, wood, and staff. But even temporary materials can be used to create a powerful illusion. A city can be made to look permanent, even when it is not. Still, many viewers are left wondering whether the White City was really just a fair, or whether it was something larger, dressed up as a fair. When the fair ended, demolition began. Buildings were stripped, burned, or broken apart. Waterways were filled. Structures disappeared from the shoreline. And this is where the mystery deepens. Why does something so visually extraordinary vanish so completely? Why are we left with only photographs, drawings, and a few surviving fragments? Because once you remove the buildings, you also remove the evidence. You remove the scale. You remove the feeling that an entire city stood there in plain sight. The fair becomes a memory. Then the memory becomes a story. And the story becomes official history. Yet traces remain. The planning, the geometry, the ambition, the sheer confidence of the design. The White City may have been temporary in form, but its impact was permanent. It influenced architecture, urban planning, and the image of what a great city should look like. Some say the fair showed the world the future. Others say it briefly revealed a forgotten past. A world of monumental design, classical grandeur, and public spaces too ambitious for modern memory. What survives now is not just the fairgrounds, but the question of why it was ever built that way in the first place. So what was the 1893 World's Fair? A temporary exhibition? A triumph of American industry? A theatrical city built for 6 months and then erased? Or something else entirely? A glimpse of a deeper architectural tradition, repackaged as entertainment and then dismantled before anyone could ask too many questions. Whatever the answer, one fact is hard to ignore. Chicago did build something extraordinary in 1893, and then it made that extraordinary thing disappear. If you want to keep exploring the vanished cities, buried architecture, and lost structures of the old world, subscribe and join me in the next investigation.